In order to combat global climate change, we have to focus our efforts into clean, renewable energy. Due to its near infinite supply, solar energy will be essential in our efforts to combat this challenge.
How do they work? Well, light, when it strikes the surface, knocks off an electron, right? So what you have is you have free electrons that are moving on one side of the solar cell. The other side of the solar cell, you have a shortage of electrons. Okay, so it's a plus charge. So the minus charge electrons want to move around to where the plus charges are. But you put a barrier in the middle, so they can't actually go through the cell itself. They have to come around through a wire to do that. And that's how it works. They're one of the most benign, environmentally friendly forms, and they don't produce emissions. Fuel is free, it's sunlight coming from the sun. There is a little bit of environmental impact in making the panels, though. People need to remember that. But over the life of the panel, the impact is small.
They make 27,000 kilowatts a year of power, and they're averaging on a day like today, we're making a little more than 125 kilowatts as we speak. We're trying to market this as a major step towards President Kerwin's 2020 commitment to zero carbon. I'd say 99+% of the cost of a solar panel is upfront. One of the problems with solar panel, it doesn't make it economical for a nonprofit like an educational institution, is there's no government money back. The government gives you a tax break, but we don't pay taxes in the first place. There's no tax break to have.
We have solar panels in the SAS building because we wanted to generate as much energy as we could for use of the building in the building itself. I think it costs somewhere less than $200,000 to install all the panels on the roof, and each year we generate some amount of money in credits for the energy that's generated, and it will easily pay itself off within 7 or 8 years.
I put solar panels on my house partially because I believe that solar has to be a piece of the transition to a world that goes beyond carbon. When I put the system in, my son turned to me and said, "Does this mean that we can now keep the lights on all the time and that we can have infinite amounts of energy?" And the answer to that is actually no. Today they've generated 12.7 kilowatt hours. Over the lifetime of the system, and the system's only been in about a week and a half or 2 weeks, I've generated 184 kilowatt hours. And this is SunPower, which is actually a German company that produces the panels and it produces the system. And theoretically, SunPower, at least for residential, produces the most efficient panels on the market today. The whole system was about $30-something thousand, but it cost me a third of that because of the rebates. The cons are that it's still, it's not an early technology. The technology makes lots of sense. The financing for the technology, however, is still a challenge.
So we're kind of at the end of this technology until somebody can come up with a better way to take the sun's energy and turn it into electricity.
We demand of our energy systems that they have to pay themselves back, which is kind of amazing. I don't ask that when I buy a chair.
Right now, the cost of solar electricity, solar photovoltaic electricity, is higher than the cost from fossil fuels. So if there is a support or subsidy that brings the price down, and you're in an area where you can produce a lot of electricity, you will do very well.
The government of the United States, both at the federal level and the state level and the local level, should be creating new economies around green power production. And overall, all of that would only reduce energy consumption, I think, by something like 20% in the United States. So it wouldn't solve all the problems, but they would be steps in the right direction.
I feel like each of us has to engage this issue. This is, to me, the issue of our time.